Hi, my name is Jason Rodriguez. I'm the data coordinator for the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. Today is April 24th, 2014. This is the second in a series of tutorials about the HMIS Data Analyst project that is launching in the state of Georgia. In the first tutorial, we learned how to install several files and software related to the HMIS Data Analyst package. So if you've gone through that video, now you're prepared to actually begin running Shiny applications. So I went to my Documents folder, and I went to the HMIS Data Analyst folder within that. This is what it looks like. So before I run applications, one thing that's good to do that could be very useful is to install this thing called RStudio. Now we've already installed R, and we've already got the GitHub setup installed, but we haven't done this yet. So if you double click that, we'll just go through this installation really quickly. RStudio is a company that makes R applications, and they've made this editor that makes it really easy to work with R. Okay, I click Finish. So now we can actually run the applications. First thing I'm going to do is to right-click on it, and then instead of just opening it, I'm going to go to Open With, and I'll just go to Choose Default Program. And you should see RStudio right there. So click that, make sure that this is checked, and then click OK. And then RStudio is going to open the Run Apps file. So in the future, all you have to do when you see one of these files, all you have to do is double click it, and then it'll open right up. So these are several lines of code that are designed to run different applications. Notice that it requires that you had already set up the GitHub repositories on your local computer. So if those aren't set up, then these application launches are not going to work. But in the first video, that's what we did. We set it up. So now if I click on that line, one thing I should mention too is that all the green is just comments. So if you ever want to make a comment in R, you start by typing a hashtag and then typing whatever. So I'm going to click on, for example, this line. Actually, let's try data quality. And I can either click the word run, or I can press Control R, or I can press Control Enter. I usually do Control R, so I'm going to do that. And this, when it's loading things, that means it's working. So what it does is it will automatically open a web browser. And for all of this, you don't need any kind of internet connection. So this is entirely local. It's not accessing anything online. And so this is the entire data quality application. And I can, right now it's on the program level, and I can switch to the group level. And I can choose a group, such as, let me just search for balance of state. Click that, and then click Analyze. And it works great, and it's accessing data that's only 1 day old. So this is an alternate way to look at reports if you don't want to go to the website that we have set up with these same applications on that. So, and all the tabs work. I can do everything just fine. I can do all the downloads and see all the graphs. While you're looking at this, if you go back to RStudio, you'll notice it says listening. What that means is that R is constantly busy projecting this application onto this website. It's not a website. It's just using your browser to display the application. So if I were to stop this process, when this process is going, you can't really do anything else in R. So if I want to stop it, I just hit the escape key, and you'll see this command line appear. But when I go back to the website, this is grayed out, and I can't really do anything. So just keep that in mind. Whenever you're interacting with this application, it's going to tie up R, but that's usually not a problem. If I want to run the destinations app, it's the same thing. I just click once on that line, hit Control R, and it opens right up in my web browser. And same things. I can click things, click Analyze, look at plots. So that's what you need to do to run basic applications. If you want to edit applications, you can go into the GitHub folder. And let's say you didn't like a heading or something. Let's go into demographics. Let's go to the gender app. These are R files. If I double click it, I can get to the UI file. If I double click that, I can get to the server file. One thing you should know is that every Shiny application must have both a server.r file and a UI.r file. The server file does all the calculations in the background. So this is where, for example, I have my query where I get the data. I take the results of that query and I make a plot. So this is where I make the bar chart right here. On the UI.r file, this is where I make the user interface. So this is where I create my tab panels. That's the instructions tab panel, the data options tab panel. There are a few of those. And this is where I have the main panel. And so I'm calling the plot that I created in the server.r file. So in a little bit, in the next tutorial, I'll go through a really simple application to show you in greater detail what the steps are in making one of these applications. But some applications are already there in the GitHub folder for us to edit and for us to play with. So for example, I can, this is the heading for the gender application. I can say gender Jason's version. Before the changes will take effect, you have to save your file. If it's a red up here, that means that there are some unsaved changes in your file. So I'm going to save my file. So now when I go to the run apps file, I can go to the gender app line and click run. Oh, yeah, you know what happened? I never escaped from my previous destinations app. So I need to do that first. Go back here, click run again. It'll pull up my web browser, and you can see that it says gender JSON's version. All the other functionality is still the same. Let's see, let's go back here. Let's escape out of the gender app, and I'm going to hit Control Z, and I'll take away those edits that I made, and I'll save it again. And I'll close those files. And when you edit files, it's all local. So the changes you make here are not, they're not immediately going to show up on the GitHub website. So right now, this is for your eyes only. No one else can see your edits at this point. So one thing I can do is I can create a new folder. Let's call it Jason's apps. And let's say I like the gender app, but I want to make some changes, but I don't want to change the production copy or the main copy. I can copy it and put it in my Jason's apps folder and paste it. Let's say I want to go in here and make that same change that I made before. Jason's version. And I'll click Save and close out of that. So now I have a separate gender app that is within this Jason's apps folder, and I can run that. So I can copy this, paste it. I'll create a new category, Jason's apps. And again, these are just comments. I'll copy this, launch Jason's gender app. I have to change this location to match where I put the new files. So I'll put Jason's, what do I call it? Jason's apps / gender. And for good measure, I'll just go and save it. But now, so when I click on this line and I click run, it'll pull up my edited version of the app. Okay. If I escape out of that and go back to the original gender app that's in that different folder, then it's going to run the original file, not the one with the changes that I made. So when I'm done making edits, or when I'm done creating my new app, one thing I can do is open up my GitHub Windows application, which we installed in the first tutorial, and I'll click on the HMIS repository, and I'm going to click on the Shiny Apps Oracle. So I'll click that arrow, and notice that since I made changes, these files are appearing as new files. So I created this Jason's apps folder and another gender application within that. So in order for this to go to, so one option you have is to push it onto the GitHub website for everybody else to see. So what I'll do is I will, you just got to summarize what you did. So created Jason's apps folder, created folder, and this is just some more descriptors you can add. Folder as well as personal gender application. When you're done typing your comments, you have to click the commit. After you click commit, it hasn't been pushed to the web yet. You need to sync it. And you can see here that it shows that there's one commit that's ready to be synced. So I'll click the sync button. And for this, you have to be connected to the internet for it to work. One thing that's nice about this application is it shows a history of all the edits that were made by every other user. So the last edit that I made, you can see it on the right-hand side. And the red is what I deleted. Oops, we'll go back. The red is what I deleted. The green is what I added. And you can see that there are some new entries into the history because I just created this JSON's apps folder. And it says that I basically created 32 lines of code because it's entirely new. And that's how many lines of code were in this app. So it's all green because it's all new. And now the sync is done. So I can go to GitHub website and I can switch to HMIS Analyst. I can go to the Shiny apps. And so now anybody can go to the JSON's apps folder and can look at the code that you wrote. Let's say someone other than you, made some changes. For example, this isn't recommended, but you can also make edits to files on the web. So the way you do that is you just click on one of these files, and then you click Edit. And you can use the editor online to make your changes. And again, I don't really recommend it this way just because once you commit, then it's instantly online. So I can just say JSON's version maybe I want to add something to it. Maybe I thought, well, he should have really added the version number to that, so I'll just add that in there for him and make that a suggested change, and I'll commit it. And so now online it's instantly appearing with that change. Now, if I'm the other person that originally uploaded this file, the way that I tell that it's been changed is I will open up my GitHub application, and when I go to the Shiny Apps Oracle repository, now it's showing that there's one commit that needs to be downloaded onto my computer. That's why the arrow is pointing down. So I can sync it, and it's going to update my local files with whatever changes have been made to the files that are stored online. And so then I can go to my folder on my computer, go to JSON's apps, go to the UI file, and I can see that this change has been made. So that's it for this second tutorial. I just wanted to show you a really easy way for people to collaborate on these applications. If you install GitHub, that will allow you to fully participate in this HMIS Data Analyst project.